Hello and welcome back to Pluck That. I am Nick Ciraldo, and now, as always, I'm joined by Jonathan Bass and Michael Boyd. This is a very special episode of Pluck That because we are all together in the same room. The reason for that is a little bit of work here at the University of Southern Mississippi.
To the top.
Thank you.
You've been sitting on that the whole time.
Yeah.
Once again, we are at the campus of Southern Miss. Bro, you missed it that time. Oh, my God. Okay, anyway.
Take two.
Yeah.
Take to the top. Sorry.
Anyway, we're all a little giddy, as you can see, today because we're all together live for a special episode. This week is exam week at Southern Miss, and I have invited Michael Boyd and Jonathan Bass to join me to help grade what are called guitar juries. Those are end-of-semester performance exams that all School of Music students do across this great nation, and they have been able to come and help grade those juries today. And tomorrow, we're lucky enough to have Jonathan give us a guitar masterclass to our jazz guitar students. So we thought it would be a perfect opportunity to have a special episode since we're all here together. I would be very remiss if I did not take a moment to acknowledge Dr. Wilbur Martin, who is the director of the radio station here, WUSM 88.5. Wilbur has been nice enough to help record this episode, and so I just would like to thank him and acknowledge all the great things that are going on over in College Hall. So thanks very much, Wilbur. We really appreciate it. So we're all here in person, but this is going to be a regular episode. We'll be talking about some news. We'll have a rant. But the topic is going to be basically Southern Miss.
To the top.
So this is basically it. The guests will be ourselves, just humbly rolling along. Hope you enjoy. Well, I think that's going to bring us to the news. Okay, time for some news. Bass, why don't you get us started with
Or get you started? Okay.
your news?
Well, this little thing has been back ordered. What camera? This.
That one, yeah.
Yeah. We are not endorsed by the Blue Chip Pick Company. But I recently played a Bluegrass Aficionados Blue Chip 50. I think his was a 50 and mine's a 48. And I was kind of blown away. I'm not usually one to go for gimmicky picks. But yeah, this just might be a short bit of a news. But spoiler alert,
Can I see it?
it's good.
So what's special about it? What's different from what distinguishes this from other picks?
It's equal. I mean, it's a triangle basically, and then whichever radius or curve that they have designed there, I suppose is proprietary. But that in and of itself is probably not all that special. I think the material.
What is the material?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I do know that it's the attack is kind of clean, and you don't get the click that you do with a lot of other kind of bulky, hard picks, and which is nice, and it's beveled too, and they make you can actually get it beveled for a left-hander too. So
That is something I was not aware of until you pointed that out. That beveling is pretty obvious on there, and that's not something I saw. I've played one other Blue Chip pick. It was a much thicker jazz-tipped pick, and I don't recall it having any, inclination to lefties or righties. So, like I said, that's pretty obvious on there, and I'm sure that helps contribute to the sound that you're getting.
yeah, what I found, because I bought it for my acoustic, and bluegrass. I'm just kind of looking for that sound as a hobby. I'm not anywhere near being a bluegrass player, but I did. When I picked that up and played it, I was kind of blown away. And yeah, so it works really well on my, pretty heavy acoustic strings. But I have noticed when I play electric, which are considerably lighter, it's nice, but it's sort of at that point sort of diminishing returns. I would imagine if you got a thinner gauge of this, then you would probably see results, or at least I would, of how I pick, how I change my picking pressure between 9s, 10s, 12s, whatever.
It's interesting you bring that up. I remember tracking with you one time a number of years ago with whatever steel string I was playing at the time, probably that Taylor I had. And you were just constantly handing me, the thicker picks, which, gave a much bolder response being, with those close mics and everything. And since then, I've picked up, thicker picks when I'm doing that. So it's a nice difference.
Yeah, I think the thump on the attack is good as long as you can eliminate that click, which happens when you pick really too flat. But there's a lot of incredible pickers that pick just flat, So I don't.
Does it have those three sides so that if one side wears down, you can just go on to the next one?
That I don't know. I think it's more of just like an efficiency thing. Like you just pick it up, and no matter what
Okay.
what side you're on, you've got to. It's the same all the way around.
All right.
That's a good way to think about it, though, because I'm very partial to those Black Mountain picks, and I spend a lot of time shaping them and getting them, right to the length and kind of curve that I like. But I've got one that's about to wear down on one side, and I'm about to have to go to another one. So having that ability just to go to a different side, when it wears out, that's more bang for your buck.
I immediately thought of that because I just use standard Dunlop picks, as you know, and they wear down pretty quickly, and I hate the tone, but I still like the shape of them, so I don't generally file them or do any kind of working of them. I just go to another pick.
Yeah, I've never been able to have success filing my own. But if this pick is good enough for Chris Thiele, then it's good enough for me.
So it's Blue Chip is the brand,
Yep.
and it's brown. Is that why it's called TP, or is that just a coincidence?
Oh,
Nice.
I think we just lost their sponsorship.
Blue Chip, if you're listening, we're still open to considering a sponsorship.
Yeah.
If
I don't know what TP, maybe tortoise something. I don't know.
Oh,
Tortoise plectrum.
Okay. All right.
I have no clue.
Nice, man. Thanks. I got a bit of news. So the Baton Rouge Symphony invited me to play 6 different performances over the course of the last week and this coming week, but with their brass ensemble, doing some holiday music, and it's been really nice. I sort of play interludes while they take a break to kind of rest their chops. If you don't know what that means, it basically means that brass players can only play for so long before they actually have to literally rest their lips, their face. They just needs to kind of, all the muscles and tendons need to relax a bit. So I'll go on stage and play while they're resting. Anyway, been playing some really lovely Christmas arrangements. Some are more challenging than others, but the sort of the interesting challenge for me in this gig is that I'm amplified. I have to deal with the difficulty of the sound running off and on stage, making sure I sound good every time. So it's sort of an interesting performance experience because I'm just sort of sitting backstage for 15 minutes and then I run on stage and then I have to play real quick. The mic is really close to the guitar. It's really hard to be able to sound good under those circumstances, but it's been a pretty positive experience so far. But I guess I can insert just a little bit of a rant in this bit of news, in that it is challenging to play amplified classical guitar. I've played electric guitar, played acoustic guitar. If you plug directly in, you can kind of get the sound that you more or less hear at home. But the amplified classical guitar is just one of those things that's difficult to make sound good, especially when you want to crank it, because you'll just get endless feedback, and so you have to really figure it out. You can't get too close to the mic, but if you get too far away, you won't sound good. It'll sound too distant. There's just like so many different things that you need to kind of try to figure out in like 2 seconds, like when you walk up to the mic and play. So every time I just cross my fingers in my head, not while I'm playing, but making sure that, it's actually gonna happen. But
not to mention the mic picks up all the trebly finger noise. Like you might just like hit the strings, not while you're playing, but just rest or something. And it's that in an audience and an acoustic setting, they would never hear,
Absolutely. When you're live and you even play like one off note, like let's say you're doing a tremolo and you just accidentally hit the wrong string in a live setting, someone sitting 50 feet away, they won't even notice. But when it's amplified,
Yeah.
everyone in the room hears that whole thing. And it's like, oh, so you feel even a greater pressure to play perfectly. So anyway, it's been great. Shout out to the Baton Rouge Symphony Orchestra. It's an amazing ensemble. They always sound great. And looking forward to a couple more performances this coming week. Boyd, do you have any news?
Well, just coming off of a gig with our department last week, our annual Christmas with the Arts program, and I needed to fill some time. Oftentimes I try to play with the ensemble or with the students, because that's what it's all about, is letting the students have this performing opportunity. But I often find myself in the position of needing to cover some scene changes, bring the curtain down. And as we know, guitar is pretty compact. We can stand off to the side, fit in a spotlight pretty easily, and distract from what's going on in other parts of the stage. And I did an simple arrangement of green sleeves for this, but tried something a bit different. And you guys will know this. Most of our listeners will not know this, but I love a bender mechanism on my tellies. And I've become very fond of a G bender. It's just what I tend to gravitate to. But one of the guitar that I've had the longest time and one of my favorites, it has a lot of sentimental value, has a B bender on it, and it's what introduced me to these benders. So this was the guitar I chose to play, just for the sake of the arrangement. It worked out better, but tried something a little different. For the middle part of the B section, if you will, I played slide, and I don't necessarily fancy myself a great slide player, but I enjoy playing it where I can. I've got a couple of, bespoke slides that sound really well. Jonathan turned me on to the Liqua slide, and I've got another one from Rocky Mountain Slides that just have a wonderful tone. But I combined it with the bender, and I was really determined to make this happen, to give more of that kind of authentic pedal steel sound with it. And found some unique difficulties with that challenge, just because you have to grip the neck and pull on the mechanism.
Yeah.
Yeah, can you tell us what a bender is?
It's basically off of a pedal steel guitar. So you normally would press the pedals or the knee levers, and it bends the string either by a half step or whole step normally. And Jonathan, you being a PSG player, pedal steel guitar, you can correct me if I get anything wrong, but it's the same type of mechanism. Mine is connected to the strap, so when I pull down on the strap, it will raise the string, in this case, by a whole step. And there are other ways you can affect that, but most of mine are the Glazer style, and I've got this one was by Charlie McVeigh, pedal steel player, who both of them developed this real minimally invasive way of altering the guitar. The Clarence White guitar, back in the day, you basically had to route the entire back out of the guitar,
right,
and compromise some of the stability of the guitar and even some of the sound of it by thinning out the wood. But this is more minimally invasive, very stable. But playing it with a slide, as soon as you pull down, you get that angle off on the slide, and you can totally pull it off the string or end up fretting the slide. It's a unique approach, so trying to maintain that focus, and at the same time, while I'm trying to navigate a loop and some other pedals for some ambient effects, was uniquely challenging, and I had a lot of fun doing it, though. It's something I hope I have the occasion to do again.
I heard a sample of it, and I thought it sounded fantastic.
Thank you.
It was really cool.
Yeah, putting a delay on something that is inherently problematic intonation-wise. I mean, it's, ooh, let's hear that wrong note over and over and over again.
Yeah, that was a real fear.
Yeah, right on. Excellent. All right, that'll do it for news. Now, we haven't had one of these in a little while, but I think I would like to continue my series of what will follow. It's time for some rants.
get serious.
It is time to get serious. Okay, so if you'll indulge me, I'd like to, like I said, continue my several-part series of rants about classical guitar competitions. I believe this is part 3. I don't remember what I talked about previously, but this time I'm going to be talking about guitar competition repertoire, the music that people choose to play at competitions. So, first of all, if you don't know this already, you have very little time to play at a guitar competition. Most of the time, they have so many competitors coming that they just don't have all day to listen to everyone. So, like let's say a first round of most American guitar competitions are about 7 minutes, which you may think, wow, 7 minutes. But for a classical guitar competition, that's a very short period of time because sometimes a piece of music can last longer than 7 minutes, one piece. And then sometimes like a semifinal round or a final round is 10 minutes, maybe 15 finals. Sometimes you can get as many as 20 to 25 minutes. Nonetheless, it's not a ton of time, and so you have to pack it in. What do you have to pack in? All the bells and whistles. Oftentimes I compare a classical guitar competition with figure skating. If you ever watched the figure skating, usually at the Olympics, you watch, it seems to me there are 2 different kinds of competitors in the figure skating world. They're like the really artistic ones that are beautiful to watch and you want to watch again, that maybe get second or third prize. And then they're the ones that always seem to get first prize. And those are the ones that do all the quadruple lutz, whatever. They do all the, the big jumps. They score the highest points. And they may not be the most, beautiful to watch, but they just know how to win the game. They know how to play the game. And the reason I bring that up is because in a competition, it's a subjective art form. It's music. It's hard to be objective when you're grading or, cutting people and letting people pass to the next round. So it just seems to make sense that people try to select, music that can be played in a short period of time that has a lot of, technical fireworks going on. But that's the problem. People are left choosing music with lots of scales, fast passages, et cetera, and it leaves out a ton of great music that is out there. And it would just be nice if there was more time in all rounds. But the main problem that I have with this, as a judge, I've gone to many competitions and I hear students just playing the most difficult stuff that they can play. Every piece is, very high horsepower music. I'm not sure I'm hearing a ton of artistry. It's more about that person needs to get first prize because they played the most difficult music flawlessly. And so musicianship doesn't really, in my opinion, have a big amount of prominence in these events. The other thing, and perhaps a bigger problem for me, is that when young players go to these competitions and they're exposed to this kind of music, they may think, well, this is the most important music to play and learn. This is the only kind of music that I should learn because I'm in the competition circuit. Yeah, I'm in school. Yeah, I'm training, but I really want to just win these competitions because it's a big focus in today's classical guitar world, at least. And so they're excluding a ton of music that might be slower, might be more obscure, might be, for whatever reason, not something that they would include in an upcoming competition. And so they're locked into a set number of composers, set number of pieces. I mean, I've been to competitions where people have been playing, there may be 4 or 5 people out of 10 playing the same piece. And it's come on, stop playing this same composer's music, So, that's just the rant. I feel like I'm not really sure if there's a solution because, like I said before, this is just how competitions are done. This is how competitions are judged. There's not ever going to be a slow jam competition. Assess trying to determine which player is more musical than the other is also really hard. But yeah, the final thing I'll say, as far as the judging is concerned, and as it relates to repertoire, I've heard judges talk about how they didn't like the repertoire that a student played, and then they use that as something against that student. Like, yeah, great player, but I didn't like the music they played. And I thought that was terrible, because you should judge them, in my opinion, on just their playing alone, regardless of the music that they chose. So that's my rant. Any comments on that? Any?
Agreed.
Wow. That was easy. Bass?
No, I guess to play devil's advocate, which I would totally be playing this because I agree with everything you said. I don't like competitions. But what would be the alternative to, judging musicality, a tier meter? Is if a person left only dry eyes after a performance, you do not proceed to the next level. And again, I'm just being devil's advocate, because I think it's the path of least resistance to judge on a quantifiable thing. The amount of mistakes on a very difficult piece.
Yeah.
And which, I mean, basically just I don't know, my underlying takeaway from this series of rants is always like, use it as a reminder to
Remind Nick to shut up about these things.
As a reminder to kids, especially, coming up through competitions, that it doesn't define you as a player, and it certainly doesn't define you as an artist. That's what I keep hearing in the background. Because it can really be discouraging, if you just keep going after it and you pick things that you really, really love, but it's just the results are not there, which I guess comes to a legitimate question, like, where does musicality and acceptable technical level start on the repertoire selection, given that's what we're talking about?
Yeah, good points. And I suppose that if it were just a tier meter competition, who is the most musical, you might start to get some really perverse interpretations. You know what I mean? Like somebody just like really laying it on thick. Like it doesn't matter if they're playing the most basic stuff; they're just like really, really trying to win over the judges with just being overly musical, overly expressive, whatever. But yeah, like I said, I don't know if there's a solution to this. It's just sort of an observation I've made over the years. It's kind of a sad thing about it, but it is a thing. I mean, working with my students, we are strategic with the repertoire that we select. Like, I don't think that piece is good for this competition. Why? Well, it doesn't have enough of this or that. It's not really showing how you can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
It's the same person. It's the same musician. But the music that we send them with is like, half the battle, it seems sometimes. So anyway, it's a tough one. So, all right, rant over.
Time to get over ourselves.
Okay, on to the heart of our episode this time. Just a reminder, we are on the campus of Southern Miss.
To the top.
And we are in College Hall, and we are in the radio station here at WUSM 88.5. And so given that we're all together and we're here on campus at the University of Southern Mississippi, we thought we would talk about the University of Southern Mississippi. So just a little bit of a reminder, I am the professor of guitar here at Southern Miss in the School of Music. I've been here for about 21 years. And I'm joined by my colleagues, Jonathan and Michael, who have several degrees from this school, from our School of Music. And they were here prior to my arrival, although Boyd and I are, friends in Hattiesburg and Bass in Memphis. And so we thought it would be just sort of a fun episode to kind of talk a little bit about Southern Miss, talk about the good old days and maybe some of the things that are going on, and just sit back and relax and talk about this great place.
Well, I was here you and I both were pre-tornado. Yeah. And so, yeah, a lot of my memories that got blown away.
Pre-hurricane too, right?
Yeah,
Pre-Katrina.
pre-Katrina. That's right. Yeah, that was like the year I graduated, the year before Katrina, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I'll just kick it off by saying something fairly generic, but I want everybody to know that, when I was here, and it still seems to be the case, the faculty here is really top notch, and I think in general, the Southern Miss gets slept on. And just when I hear people talking about where to go to study music, just in North Mississippi, I sometimes have to remind them, about Southern Miss, because there's Ole Miss, there's Mississippi State, which, now they have, well, actually, I don't know much about the music department at Mississippi State these days. But when I was in school, especially for guitar, this was really the only place to go.
That's true.
And probably before that. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I'll just kick it off with that. I mean, the faculty here are incredible. Larry Piniella, who has been here for, 27, 8 years, is just a beast. I mean,
Yeah.
great teacher, great player, played with some heavy people, and really knows what he's talking about. The theory department I always loved. I love all my time here. Our guitar teacher was John DeChiaro, Giovanni DeChiaro, and it was a fun studio. It was very relaxed. There's a lot of camaraderie. And when I got a master's somewhere else, now granted, it's not really fair for me to say this because I was at a different point in my life, but and I'm not going to name that other school, but there wasn't the level of camaraderie that we had here, and even between departments, not just like the guitarists liked each other, but there really seemed to be a good community here in general.
That's nice. That's really nice to hear. It's great to hear good stories about Southern Miss like that. You mentioned DeChiaro.
Yeah.
And so John DeChiaro, or sometimes known as Giovanni
That's
DeChiaro,
right.
his stage name, was my predecessor. So he taught y'all, and I have a few stories to share about him because it's just so funny. When I showed up in August of 2005, that's the reason I'll remember the month and year is because of Katrina. I arrived 2 weeks before Hurricane Katrina. When I first arrived, everyone asked me, "Oh, do you know John DeChiaro? Do you know John DeChiaro? Do you know Giovanni? Do you know Giovanni?" Like everyone in town. It was like, "Who are you? What do you do?" And
Right.
Nick Ciraldo, guitar at Southern Miss, and they were like, "Oh, well then you work with John. You know John." Everyone in this town knew John. Everyone loved John. He was like an icon in this place, and I had to upset them all and say, "No, he's no longer there.
Yeah.
I replaced him, etc." And then there was the move-in to his office. So I moved into his old office in the Performing Arts Center, and I noticed two things. When I first walked into his office, there was this massive photo of him shaking hands with the Pope, Pope
right.
John Paul. I mean, this photo was framed. It was probably like 5 feet by 4 feet. It was massive, right above his desk, because he hadn't yet moved out. But they wanted to show me his office anyway, for some reason, and I was like, okay, I can't top that.
Yeah.
Like,
Nah.
there's my predecessor shaking hands with the Pope. I don't think I can or will do that in my lifetime. And then the other thing was, so there were a few lockers outside of that door, and they said, "Okay, Nick, these are your lockers. You can use them as you want. They got to be cleaned out, but you can use them to store student guitars or your guitars or whatever. These are your lockers. This is big, like 8-foot lockers." And so I opened up one of them, and the first thing I see is this massive, like life-size sign of John DeChiaro, like cardboard printout of the guy. And I was like, "Whoa, I need to get one of those." So they're just, and then like the students who were the students that I, let's say, inherited from him, that were sort of mid-degree, they had all kinds of funny stories about him. And sadly, I'd never had the chance to meet him, and so I just never did until what year was that? There was a concert that he gave at Jones College that Mike had put on.
He was about to release that concerto that he recorded with.
Oh, the lights thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
one of the orchestras in Louisiana.
Yeah, yeah, and but that was. I mean, I've been here since '05, but that concert was maybe in like 18 or
That sounds about right.
somewhere like that. So years later. And so when Mike told me about this concert, I was like, I gotta meet the man, the myth, the legend. I gotta go.
Yeah.
And I remember walking into the hall, I was nervous. I was like, this is gonna be something, you know? But anyway, walked in, saw the concert, and then shook hands with him afterward, and he was so nice to me. And it was funny was that he introduced me to people after the concert, two people, some of the audience members, like, oh yeah, here's Nick Ciraldo. He's really doing great things at Southern Miss. And I was like, you don't know what I'm doing there, but thank you. So
He was always a good networker. I mean,
Absolutely.
I mean, he really he put in a lot of work. I was thinking about his office too, though. Did he leave the coffee maker behind?
there.
Or the mini
Or the
fridge
milk.
with the milk?
So when
He would always be like, "You need a cup of coffee," you know. And for a while, I took it, and then after a while, you start to look at the coffee maker like, "Oh,
Well, you definitely don't take the milk.
no, you
I
don't."
remember going out to the car one time. We're headed somewhere for recruiting or something, and he pulled the little thing of milk out from under the car. This was 3 in the afternoon. It was a summer in Mississippi. I was like, "Has that been under there the whole time?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's just fine." We went somewhere. And we were gone for 2 days, and that same milk he kept pouring out from under the car.
Oh, no.
You're going to kill someone with that. Don't offer that to anyone.
They showed me the office with his stuff still in it, and then they let me in the office after they had moved out. And I remember when I first saw the office, there was like an easy chair or two and a couch, and like there was like lots of lounging space. And I thought this guy knows how to relax while at work.
It was always a hang, man. I mean, and we were respectful for the lessons. Like, occasionally we would be in there where somebody would have a lesson, usually a friend of ours. So we weren't like,
Yeah,
intruding, or we would ask, and
Yeah.
he would always ask, "Hey, is it okay if they're here?"
yeah.
And, but yeah, I remember when I auditioned for him, well, it's sad that well, it's not sad. I mean, it's somebody's business, but, the gas station got blown away, but that same gas station right next to it is still there. That survived the tornado. But I came down here, and he met me in the parking lot, and he was like, "Yeah, just park right here. It's in front of the gas station. It'll be fine. It's fine." I was like, "Really?" Because it says no parking. It will be towed. He was like, "It's fine. We won't be that long." 2 hours later, we come down. My car is gone. And and he's super apologetic and everything. I was like, "Well, I mean, John, what are we gonna like?" He's like, "Don't worry, I will take you to get your car, and I'll pay for it. I'm so sorry." And he did. It was great. But I mean, yeah, it was it's like, yeah, the sign is pretty clear, John.
Yeah.
He's like, "Nah, it's fine."
Yeah. So many stories about that guy. I mean, my son recently got into playing the piano, and he's for about 6 months ago, he was really into Scott Joplin, the music of Joplin, and he was asking me if I ever tried any Joplin on guitar, and I was like, no, I never have. And he's like, really, you should, because it probably would sound good. And I said, well, actually, I know someone who has made some arrangements. And he's like, who? And I said, John DiChiaro, the person that used to teach at Southern Miss. And he said, well, how many Scott Joplin tunes did he did? And I was like, I think he did all of them.
Like all of them, yeah.
All of them.
And then that wasn't enough. He arranged for quartet, right?
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is super impressive, because if you listen to Joplin on the piano, it's not simple. It's not easy
No,
stuff.
it's
And
not.
so to be able to arrange it for guitar is impressive.
My favorite was always the heliotrope.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about Cafe de Chiaro? Can y'all talk about that?
Oh, the scholarship fundraiser.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a real introduction to that always first semester, because it would come up October. He had to start prepping everybody immediately as soon as school started. And even, first-time students, freshmen coming in, what can you play?
Yeah.
And trying to get things together, hook them up with other people. You guys both like this style of music. Why don't you do something together? and in a short period of time would come up with an hour and a half's worth of music
Yeah.
for this scholarship fundraiser. He was, and then after that, we'd obviously have to prepare things for the rest of the semester. But the way that he marketed scholarship fundraising, much the way he did a lot of stuff, he had a real knack for marketing himself, marketing the program, getting the word out. Before we dig too far into the Cafe de Chiaro, Jonathan, you touched on something about initially, so many times Southern Miss tended to fly under the radar in terms of being known for music or other various programs. And I have to say, when I first decided to pursue music, I was looking at going to one of the schools in Nashville until De Chiaro came to the community college I was at.
Mm.
I had no idea there was a guitar program in the state, and that's obviously how I ended up here. He was always going out and playing, particularly at other community colleges, as a means of getting the name of the program out, which Nick, you've been doing a ton of recruiting yourself lately,
Yeah, I have
and
noticed that.
that's absolutely what it takes, is that marketing savvy to be out there and amongst the people. But it's really what he did with the Cafe de Chiaro. He would get into the community, get local businesses to donate, be it Cokes, coffee, cookies, whatever. And then I can't remember if it was donation only for the entrance fee, or if there was a set fee to get in.
I think it was a set fee.
I think
But I mean,
$5, something like
but
that.
of course, he would open the floor every now and then and be like, hey, if you want to donate some more, we're
Absolutely.
we're not going to say no.
And got
Yeah.
a big family, the Harrisons, to donate, and they were super sweet. And his idea was to be able to build that scholarship up and have everyone in the department on scholarship at that time. And I remember when it came to fruition, first it was me and a fellow by the name of Ken Hale. We were the first 2 scholarship recipients. And Nick, by the time you got here, sure enough, it had built up enough so the entire department was on some sort of financial aid through that endowment.
That's fantastic. I'm still awarding from the Harrison Fund and several others. So, yeah, good on him for having that idea. We've had a lot of concerts and festivals and guests over the years. Wanted to just kind of highlight that because I think it's pretty cool. Christopher Parkening came through before my time, but Christopher Parkening, if you don't know, was probably the preeminent solo classical guitarist of the U.S. for a few decades. He's still around. He's just not playing as much as before. But I would say that in the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s, when I first heard him, he was like the sort of golden child of American classical guitar. He came here how many times?
The one time that I can remember, because John De Chiaro asked me to be his liaison and pick him up at the airport and carry him around and get him back and forth to the hotel, take him to dinner, and I got to spend a great deal of time with him.
That's
and
cool.
It was really remarkable.
Yeah. We've had Manuel Barhueco, Cuban American guitarist, phenomenal player. He gave a concerto performance, I want to say, in 2010, 2009, somewhere around there. We've had a number of other fantastic soloists who have come through, from Bokyun Byun to William Kanegeiser, Dennis Azabagic. We've had just a lot of people who have come through over the years. Barbosa Lima came.
Barbosa Lima came.
Carlos Barbosa Lima.
Yes.
And Roberto Osel came.
Yes. The same year that we had the Romero's Quartet come in conjunction with the Majesty of Spain exhibition that was going on in Jackson at that time.
So the Romeros came here as well?
They did.
Dang, that is...
Edgar Meyer.
Yes, right.
Getting off of guitar players, but Placido Domingo.
Placido Domingo.
Yeah, Southern Miss is known for having brought in a great number of musicians and artists, not just guitar, but the list goes on.
Didn't Yo-Yo Ma come?
Yeah, Renee Fleming.
Yeah, right.
Just the list goes on and on and on and on. We've had some cool festivals. We've had the Mississippi Guitar Fest, which was not something that we specifically put on every year at Southern Miss. It was not a Southern Miss thing, but it was sort of a, let's call it a cohort or a group of guitar teachers in the state would sort of pool money together and hold a festival at one of their schools every year. And it's been here, it's been at Jones, it's been at State, it's been at Bellhaven, it's been at other places as well. More recently, there's the Screaming Eagles Guitar Fest, which started last year and will be continuing this year. Actually, this year's event is going to be March 14th, 2026. And I'm really happy about the Screaming Eagles Guitar Fest because it's a more inclusive event. We've been talking about classical guitar this whole time, but this podcast and a lot that's going on here at Southern Miss nowadays in the guitar studio deals with other styles of guitar playing. So the festival is sort of an offshoot of that. It's all part of the grand kind of plan here. What was cool about last year was that it was super inclusive. We had all kinds of levels, all kinds of ages, and we had a variety of people playing. At the evening recital, we had a bunch of different workshops. Boyd, you gave a great class on gear, and it was really great. And this year, the theme is going to be jam, Jam, blueberry jam, peach jam. No, I'm just kidding. Just like, like what we like to do. We like to hang out. We like to play together. We like to jam. And so there's going to be some opportunities to play together. We're going to have Russell Welch, fantastic guitarist who's based in New Orleans, who's also a Southern Miss alum. He'll be bringing some of his colleagues up to play the second half of the concert at night. And what he plays is music in the style of Django Reinhardt or gypsy jazz or hot jazz, whatever you want to call it. Just a really fantastic player. He's going to give a workshop on that music as well earlier in the day. And then we're also going to be bringing down the Sutton Patterson duo, Kimberly Patterson and Patrick Sutton, a wonderful guitar and cello duo. They're coming down from Memphis, and they'll be playing the first half of the concert, and that'll be sort of the classical aspect of that program. They are just a phenomenal group. They'll be jamming together, so that's how it kind of ties in with the theme. Chamber music is a form of jamming, in my opinion, so that'll be that. And they'll also be giving a class earlier in the day on chamber music. And so, yeah, anyway, that's another cool thing about what's going on here is the Screaming Eagles Guitar Fest. Another thing that I wanted to mention is the commercial music program at Southern Miss. Sort of a new development, something that's been going on, that has been in my head for the past, 5-6 years. Been chipping away at it for the past 2 years with the help of a lot of administrative folks and some folks in the School of Music. Even these guys, because I've been talking with them to brainstorm and get ideas for what to do about this program. But basically, it's a new curriculum that helps guide guitarists to become more successful 21st century performing musicians. It branches out from just playing classical music or just jazz, but also other styles as well, whether it's metal, praise band, bluegrass, what have you, studio playing. It's a curriculum that is growing, and is the goal is to just basically train you how to be successful, as we say around here, ready for life before you even graduate. So we're in our first year, and we've got some folks who are signing on to that program, entering it into their degree plans, and it's been really challenging. It's been really exciting as well to teach these various styles, but it's pretty cool how things are going, and people are getting wind of it. And I guess I'll also use this opportunity to talk about this new development. It just got approved, but basically, as you all know, you get calls for gigs, right? We all get calls for a gig. Every now and then, I'll get a call, hey, do you have a student who can do this or that? And I have a studio of guitar majors, and sometimes I'll say, would you like to do this? Would you like to do that? Passing it off to one student or the other. And so they get a little bit of professional experience in that regard. But I had the idea recently to develop a database of prospective employers and gave that database to my students and said, you guys take care of it. And let's make it a student-run organization kind of a thing where you basically will go out into the community and find these performance opportunities, these paying performance opportunities yourself. And they've done it. And like there's somebody who's sort of the program coordinator, and they all come back to that person and they all communicate and determine who's going to go off to play here or there. And it's been working pretty well. And now when people call me and ask if I have somebody who I'd recommend, I just direct them to this person and say, okay, contact this student, and they'll sort of find somebody for you. And so they're learning administration, they're learning, all these kind of cool things. The latest thing, the thing that I'm really excited to announce, is what I'm calling Screaming Eagles gigs. Basically, pretty soon on our school music website, most likely on the Guitar Studio page, there's going to be a link to a place where you can fill out a form to type in what you're looking for if you need someone to play at your event, whether it's a wedding, background music, corporate event, art opening, reception, even a concert, whether it's classical, jazz, or whatever you need. Type in all that information, your rate, the number of hours you need them, when you need them, how many people you need. That form will go over to our student group, and they'll be able to assign what you need in a timely fashion and just kind of go through it that way. Really excited about it, so just be on the lookout for Screaming Eagles gigs. All right, I got to stop talking because I feel
Boy,
like
do you want to go get a beer while you wrap this up?
all I'm doing is hyping the
Easiest podcast ever. This is
Yeah.
great. I feel like I've been on here lately. And I'm just coasting today. Thank
I
you, Nick.
told y'all before this I didn't want to dominate.
Oh, man.
Here I go.
As you were talking, though, it made me think about a couple of things. And one is just how things have changed. I mean, I'm an old man now. I graduated long ago. And, coming through a program that was designed, for a classical guitarist, all the things, as good as my education was, there was a lot of, life experience I had to pick up on how to transfer that knowledge into a working knowledge of, hustling gigs or being prepared for the various different venues I would have to go in and perform at. And it's kind of where I'm at now. That's why I like this direction of a commercial music program, to equip the student to be as prepared as possible for whatever venue, whatever style they're going to be asked to do. I think it is a very valuable and worthwhile pursuit. But it does, beg that question, or maybe topic of discussion sometimes, going over how things have changed in academia over the past couple of decades. And just sitting here right now when I walked in, and Dr. Martin, I had not seen this studio space before. Back in the day, I did several recordings over in Southern Hall, but obviously since Katrina, things changed. Since the tornado, things have massively changed. And these old models of how we used to do things, I think in some regards may work with some programs, but, as far as a guitarist, we have talked before about how sometimes we are a bit of that square peg in a round hole when it comes to some of the traditional things we think of, with music and education. And I think it is a real great opportunity to, be more diverse and bring more people into the fold and offer greater educational and professional opportunities for people who want to, make a living with music.
Yeah, things have really changed, and I guess I cut directly from DeCaro to today, but yeah, it's been an interesting 20 years, and I'm looking forward now to this next 20 years, this sort of next chapter. I really do believe that it's that. But the past 20 years have been very, very interesting. There have been so many guitar majors who have come through, so many little changes in our school, but it seemed like there was a need to innovate the curriculum. And so that's why this is all happening.
And you've got some students now that are I mean, on fire. I mean, it's it's. I shouldn't have been there on the other side of a jury panel. of that. Yeah, it's like holy smokes.
My wife was commenting, one of your students, Daniel, just was in a situation where he needed to borrow one of my guitars. And my wife is fond of, telling him every time she gets to hear him play on that guitar, you make that guitar sound so much better than my husband can or ever
Oh,
could.
man.
And I will admit, that's the truth. That is a killer player.
They're great. They're really, really great. I'm glad that you can support them, and very grateful for that. And I wish the very best for all of them. Yeah.
Well, I have to say, too, kudos to you for having the support from your administration. You've got some great folks over there that I've been able to get to know because of you, and they really believe in what you do, but also that idea of, progress and trying to, prepare the students as well as possible for what's to come. So I think that's great.
Also, I've heard from listeners that they are starting a drinking game, and they have to take a shot every time Boyd says kudos.
Wow.
Zing. Sorry.
Well, it's
Well
funny you
deserved.
say
Time
that.
to get serious.
It's funny you mentioned the drinking game and administration. I'll tie all this together. You're gonna love this. You're
All
just gonna
right.
love this. So
Was this in your admin days?
no, this is more of a recent thing. I will say I completely agree. I do have a wonderful administrative team in the School of Music, and I'll also say at the deans and beyond level for the arts in general, but also for music, and in my opinion, for guitar. The School of Music has been a long-standing cornerstone, I think, of all the curricular offerings in the school, at the university, but also one of the more, like, basically the cultural offering, the arts program for the city. Like, it is a major arts hub. And so we just have so much to offer. We've been doing it for so many years, and I think it's really, really special to be part of that. In particular, I want to give a shout out to the director of the School of Music, Colin McKenzie, because he has been very, very supportive of the guitar program, of the School of Music, an advocate for our program. And my colleagues and I have joked about having a drinking game, because every time he goes out in front of an audience, he says, I have the very best job in the world, the director of the School of Music, or something to that effect. But he always says, I have the very best job. And we're all like, again, he says it, So,
We've mentioned just Hattiesburg, and we mentioned hub. You just said the word hub. It might be important to remind our listeners kind of geographically where we are.
Sure.
Because Hattiesburg doesn't just,
That's a good
spring to mind. We're about, an hour and 20 from New Orleans. Roughly
I don't
the
drive
same.
that fast. Goodness gracious, Bass.
Yeah. Well, I mean, back in the day, I had to make it back to class.
Kind of about an hour and a half from everything.
Yeah,
It's the
right.
hub city.
Mississippi Gulf Coast, Mobile. How far from Tuscaloosa are we?
That's about 3 hours.
Oh,
But
okay.
Meridian,
Okay, yeah.
Jackson, Natchez, Vicksburg.
Yeah, literally. I mean, it's been called the hub city for
forever.
for a very long time. Yeah.
So we also get a lot. Well, I don't know the venue situation nowadays, but man, when I was in school here, we would have all sorts of bands passing through. Either coming or going to New Orleans,
Yeah.
and we had a couple of venues here that would book them, and we got to see a ton of incredible talent.
For sure. Yeah, it's not just the university. I mean,
Yeah.
Hattiesburg has a really cool underground punk scene.
Yep.
It's had that for many decades. Some really cool bands have come through. The Sanger Theater nowadays, especially nowadays, are bringing in some really impressive acts. I don't know if you've noticed that. Jeff Tweedy came through just a couple weeks ago.
So they just announced Marty Stewart's going to be here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's
Uh,
that's impressive too.
and I've always said, I'll just plug Hattiesburg one more time. If you go to other college towns, at least in this state, it feels like a college town. It feels like, the town wouldn't probably be much without the college, right? And that's fine. That's it is what it is. But for whatever reason, Hattiesburg never felt that way. You knew the college was here. It was definitely an important part of the town, but like there's this whole other, you know, community that operated, you know, completely outside of the confines of Southern Miss. And that's not disparaging Southern Miss. It just so happens that, you know, the art, and I'm really talking about the art community and the music community. I played with just as many people here that weren't music majors, you know, and good musicians. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's.
So we love Southern Miss, and we love the music program here, and the guitar studio is something that's been a special place for the three of us in one way or another, and it's just been great to be able to be in the same room together and grade juries, and then talk a little bit about this this campus, and hear Jonathan give his class tomorrow, and I want to give another shout out to WUSM 88.5, also southernmissradio.com, and Dr. Wilbur Martin for hosting us this afternoon as we record here on campus in College Hall. And just want to thank you for listening to another episode of Pluck That. Want to invite our listeners to always feel free to leave a comment in our YouTube videos as far as any kind of questions that you might have or feedback. You can also email us at pluckthatguitarpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll see you next time on Pluck That. I felt like it was the end.
And we're clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.